The beach was almost deserted that Thursday afternoon. The sky hung heavy with a mixture of golden sunlight and darkening clouds as the tide rolled in with a gentle rumble. Miles Bennett, 48, sat quietly on the wooden bench overlooking the ocean, the salty breeze brushing past his weathered face. He came here often, not because he needed the peace, though he did, but because this place reminded him of who he used to be. A long time ago, he was a swimmer, and a good one. Back when he was known not for the sadness in his eyes, but for the gold medals around his neck. But life had a way of making the strong feel small. After a torn shoulder ended his career, the sponsors disappeared, the fame faded, and so did the sense of purpose. Coaching jobs didn't pan out, and after his wife left 5 years ago, taking their only daughter with her to live in Arizona, Miles lost what little he had left to hold on to. He rarely talked to anyone these days. Just came to the water and stared, remembering how it felt to fly across its surface, weightless and powerful. The waves were the only thing that never betrayed him. That day, though, the silence was broken. A scream cut through the wind, sharp and panicked. He stood up without thinking, scanning the beach. About 50 yards to his left, near the edge of the lifeguard zone, though oddly, no guard was present, 2 small figures flailed in the churning surf. A woman on shore screamed again, her arms outstretched, frozen in terror. Miles ran. The years melted away with each stride. He didn't think about his bad shoulder or his aching knees. He didn't think about the fact that it had been over a decade since he'd swum more than a few laps in a pool. Instinct took over. The moment his feet hit the water, he was home. The tide was strong, stronger than he expected. But the sight of the 2 kids, a boy and a girl, no older than 8. Struggling to stay afloat pushed adrenaline through his veins like a shot of fire. He reached the girl first. Her tiny arms wrapped around his neck in a panic, pulling him down. He had to fight not to choke. "It's okay," he gasped. "I've got you. I've got you." He cradled her with one arm and pushed forward toward the boy, whose head was bobbing in and out of the water. The boy's mouth was open in a silent scream, eyes wide with terror. Miles reached him just as he slipped under. Using a maneuver he hadn't thought about in years, he spun, hooking the boy under his arm and began the grueling swim back. Every stroke felt like a war. His lungs burned. His shoulder screamed. He could feel his body giving out, but quitting wasn't an option. The kids clung to him, terrified, and he knew he'd rather drown than let go. Inch by inch, he dragged them through the churning surf, until finally, miraculously, his feet touched sand. People were running toward them now. A man helped lift the boy from his arms, while the woman, presumably their mother, grabbed the girl, sobbing uncontrollably. Miles collapsed on the sand, gasping, vision spinning. Someone was speaking to him, but it sounded far away. A moment later, a paramedic was kneeling beside him, checking his vitals. He waved them off. "I'm okay," he rasped. "Just tired." What he didn't say was that this was the first time in years he felt alive. The local news picked up the story the next day. Mysterious hero saves siblings from drowning at Caldwell Beach. His name wasn't mentioned, he had refused to give it. He didn't want attention. But that anonymity wouldn't last long. The mother, a woman named Erica Quinn, was determined to find him. She showed up the next week with her children, asking every beachgoer, every local cafe, if they knew a man who fit his description. She finally found him sitting at the same bench, his head low, sipping lukewarm coffee from a paper cup. "You saved my kids," she said softly, approaching with cautious gratitude. "I've been looking for you." Miles looked up, surprised, unsure of what to say. The girl, Ava, stepped forward first, wrapping her small arms around his waist. "Thank you," she whispered. He felt a lump in his throat he hadn't known was there. "You're welcome," he said, voice thick. Erica insisted on treating him to dinner. It was awkward at first, he wasn't used to being around people anymore. But the kids, Ava and her brother Caleb, were full of questions. Did he used to be a superhero? How did he swim so fast? Did he train with dolphins? He laughed more in that one dinner than he had in the past 5 years combined. Over the next few weeks, they began inviting him more often: picnics, movie nights, Caleb's birthday party. It was like being slowly pulled out of the shadows. Miles resisted at first, wary of feeling needed again. But their kindness chipped away at the isolation he'd built brick by brick. Then one evening, as they sat around a fire pit in Erica's backyard, she asked the question that stopped him cold. "Why were you at the beach that day?" He stared at the flames for a long moment before answering. "I go there a lot," he said. "To remember. I used to be a swimmer. Pretty good, too. But things changed. I lost my career, my marriage, my daughter moved away. Honestly, I thought I had nothing left. I wasn't supposed to be the one who saved anybody." Erica reached out and gently touched his hand. "Maybe saving them was a way of saving yourself." The words hit him harder than he expected. He didn't respond, but later that night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, he realized something had shifted. For the first time in years, he wanted more. With Erica's encouragement, he began volunteering at a local community center that offered swimming lessons for underprivileged kids. The first few sessions were difficult, he was rusty, unsure. But the kids adored him. They called him Coach Miles, and their energy reignited something deep within him. Then one day, a small boy named Theo, shy, anxious, and terrified of water, stood trembling at the pool's edge. Miles knelt beside him, remembering how it felt to be scared. "You don't have to be brave all at once," he told him. "Just take one step at a time. I'll be right here." Theo nodded slowly, then stepped into the water. Miles smiled, a tear slipping down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. Months passed, and the community center noticed. Donations increased. Parents lined up to enroll their children. One local reporter ran a follow-up story: former champion swimmer finds redemption by teaching the next generation. This time, his name was front and center. One evening, as he finished a swim session, he received a call from a number he didn't recognize. A woman's voice came through the line. "Dad," it said. "It's me. Alana." His heart stopped. They talked for over an hour that night. She had seen the article. She told him she was proud. She said she missed him. And for the first time in almost 10 years, Miles allowed himself to hope. A few weeks later, they met in person. It was awkward, emotional, imperfect. But real. She brought her son, his grandson, and watching them together made him feel like life was giving him a second chance. The ripple from that one moment in the ocean had become a wave that changed everything. Miles Bennett once thought the best parts of his life were behind him. That his story ended the day he walked away from the pool. But life, he realized, isn't a straight line, it curves and dips, crashes and rebuilds. And sometimes, in saving someone else, you discover the strength to save yourself. And now, every time he watches a child overcome fear and learn to swim, every time he hears laughter echo across the pool, he knows that day at the beach wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning.